All right, we're live on our weekly Facebook AdIQ group call. I'm just going to get situated for a second. We wanted to make sure we got started in 6 on the dot so nobody had a reason to not show up. So let me just get my stuff situated and we'll start chatting. So it gives everyone a minute to get logged in. All right. Hokey, you're here. That's all that matters. All right? Yeah, that's all that matters. Alright, people are logging in, so just going to get ready and we'll get started in a minute. Okay. Feel free to post your questions in the comments as you log in so I can get started on them when I get set up. So we can do that. Let me just get this logged up. Computer plugged in, airplane mode turned on, or do not disturb. Do not disturb. All right, we're in business, so just gonna log on so I can get questions while I'm talking, and then we'll jump right into it. All right. Come on. Let's load the computer. On my lap. You got a special guest. Okay. My computer does not want to get started, so just bear with me for a second. Because I need that to actually answer questions. So if my computer's not turned on, I can just see myself and who's watching. I can actually see anybody answering questions. That kind of defeats the entire point of a Q&A, doesn't it? So let's see what we can do here. Come on. Okay. This place should always do a tech check before you get started. Alright, I'm just going to get rid of my external monitor. Well, while I'm waiting for this to get started, I'll just kind of multitask here. So I asked a question before I got started in my personal profile about what topics people want covered, what questions. I got a few responses, which is great. And my computer just doesn't want to start. The most common seemed to be scaling. So it was, how do I go about scaling a winning Facebook ad? From presumably a few $100s a day to a few $1,000s a day. So that was definitely a hot topic. Pretty much the primary topic. Other people were talking about the new Pixel update to that, what's going on there, how to effectively use that new data. Have you seen any changes to that? So those are all topics that we'll cover. Manual bidding is a topic that we'll cover, and we're in business. So finally, I just have to do reboot. Let me just get this so we're in business. I got the 3 monitors set up, but I got to get that set up first. So we'll just go with 1 monitor tonight. So let me just get this plugged in, pull up Facebook, get some questions. Yeah, so we got manual bidding, we got scaling. If I'm missing anything, post them in the comments below. I'm going to get to them in just a second now that I'm pulling up Facebook. And then I'll open the group, and then we'll be in business, and I'll talk for as long as you guys want to listen to me talk, which can be 5 minutes, it could be 5 hours, I don't know. Probably more like an hour. So Facebook AdIQ. All right. Let's see what we got. Beautiful. So I can see the live stream. I can see comments coming in when they come in. So a little bit of delay on what I'm seeing here versus what I'm actually saying here. So bear with me there on if you're ask a question and it gets delayed. Okay. So the big question. Let me move this in front of me so I'm not looking at the computer screen at the same time. So it seems to be the biggest question. This is kind of weird. It's too high, so I'm looking at the ceiling. So the biggest question, it seems, is how do I go about scaling a ad that's making me a 2, 3, 4x return on ad spend here, but I'm only spending $10 a day, $50 a day, $100 a day. How do I go about taking that ad and if I'm spending $50 and I'm making $200, I want to spend $1,000, make $4,000. I want to spend $10,000, make $40,000. That's the logic, right? Unfortunately, as I'm sure everyone watching this video knows, that's not the way it works. So I'm sure everybody in this group, when I posted a while back and kind of asked what was your daily budget, your monthly budget, seems like I would say 85% of the group manages about 6 figures a month in spend. So everyone here is a pro for the most part, and if you're not, you're going to be a pro soon. So everybody wants to scale, and I'm sure everyone watching this has done that, where they've taken a winning ad set that's making money at $50 a day, $100 a day, $200 a day, and they've doubled it, they've tripled it, they've just changed the budget to whatever they want, and obviously the results just tank, right? So as soon as I do that, it's game over. So unfortunately, there's really not a, I would love to have an answer to go to that just, this is the magic bullet, this is the perfect way to scale, every time you do this is going to work. The reality is that there's no magic bullet, there's no strategy that works for everybody. I was talking to just a fellow digital marketer today, and we were just talking about what he does, what I do, and what came up is the fact that nobody's the same. Whether you're writing copy or targeting on Facebook, everything's different, and there's contextual differences in everything you do. So, an audience I'm targeting over here for a skincare business might be very, very different in terms of how I go about bidding and scaling to an audience over here that's for a info product that costs $5,000. So the strategies are different, the tactics are different, but there are some fundamentals that stay pretty consistent across the board. And again, while I've made this clear, I feel this is the first time you're joining me on this kind of live Q&A. The way I set it up, and when I did the first one 2 weeks ago, I said, feel free while I'm talking the goal of this is to be Q&A, to be conversational. So you ask me a question, I answer a question. Right now I'm just kind of talking and killing time until somebody asks a question. So, if you want me to stop, just ask a question and I'll answer it. If I'm in a groove and kind of getting to something I think is valuable, I'll keep going and I'll answer it after. But, feel free to post your comments, ask me a question, ask me to elaborate on something as we go. That's the whole point of this. Otherwise, I don't do it. And also, while I have everyone here, so launched the group a few weeks ago, and we're almost at 600 members. I think we're about to cross it. A few people just requested an invitation. I would love this group to have thousands and thousands of members. I'd love to do it all organically. So if you think there's people that would get value out of what we're doing in this group and want to improve their Facebook ads, improve their digital marketing, feel free to share the group, share this video, share any of the content in here, and invite people in. We're pretty good about approving people pretty quickly. I have a few moderators working for me that are great, and we'll pretty much accept anybody to within reason. And then we obviously have a policy on how people can post and interact in the group. Amazingly, we haven't had anybody violate our rules. It's actually been pretty cool. So not a single person since I've launched this group has actually posted any spam or any promotional material, which is amazing. It's got to be a record for like a 600-person group to not have a single person break a rule. So that's my kind of marketing spiel, and now I'll get back into it. So Eric, I'll answer your question in a second. This is good for getting some questions. This is what I like. Makes me feel like I'm not just talking to a wall on a phone. So regarding scaling, there's a few routes that work here. And like I said when I started talking about this, nothing is guaranteed and nothing is an exact science. But there are strategies that work a lot better than just duplicating just doubling or tripling, quadrupling a budget and kind of crossing your fingers and hoping it works. So in my opinion, the most stable and effective way to scale a winning ad, it's not the most popular because it takes a lot of time, and especially if you start at the $5 a day budget, but it's, in my opinion, the most tried, true, effective, is every 24 to 36 hours, depending on how much reach your ad has had, increasing the daily budget by about 20 to 30%. And then kind of keeping an eye on it for a day or two, making sure the ROI, all the data stays consistent, the performance stays consistent, and then doing it again and continuing that process. And so what ends up happening is you're not shaking the boat too much. And what ends up happening with a lot of people when they tweak their ads, where they dramatically change budgets, they make a lot of tweaks to it, you're really rocking the boat. And what you don't want to have happen, Facebook on the back end is their algorithms and their advanced data teams and everything, all the magic of Facebook is working very, very hard around the clock, analyzing data and looking at all the other advertisers in your space, looking at all the buyers in your space, and they're trying to help target the right person, find the right person based on all these variables that are constantly changing, right? And so that's why it takes some time for that to get good. That's why you hear people talk about how much data your pixel needs to have before Facebook can effectively optimize, usually 25 plus purchase or conversion events a week per ad set. And so all of that is based on the fact that Facebook is very good at finding the right buyer, but it takes time. And what you don't want to have happen is when they do identify that, you rock the boat too much, because Facebook, once they get dialed in, you find a winning ad, everything is working together. They found the right pacing, the right bidding, all these variables, the right targeting, the right time of day, the right ad to use from your ads, all your ads you're using. And when you dramatically change variables within your ad set or your ad, you're basically messing up everything that's going on with the optimization. And now Facebook is optimized for a ad set that might have dramatically changed, which is why you shouldn't change more than one variable a day. So people that go in there and they're perpetual tinkerers, which I used to be, they'll go in there and they'll change, hey, women are performing best, so I'm going to change the gender to women. And then age, this 25 to 35 is performing best, so I'm going to do 25 to 35 women. And then I'm going to change the placement too to just mobile, because those are all the things that are working best. So I make 3 changes, save the ad set, update it, and the campaign performance goes like that. You did too much changing, and you really rocked the boat too much. And so that specific ad set, the audience, all those variables that Facebook dialed in their optimization on has now changed. The same goes for your budget. The 2 most important metrics when it comes to being a really, really good Facebook advertiser, and the big boys and girls that scale and they're spending millions of dollars a month, is bid and budget. Those are the two, the 2 B's. I got to find out like a cool catchword there for that. But the 2 B's, there's a great article on WordStream the other day about how to correlating your budget and your bid and how those working together really are the 2 most important variables when it comes to effectively scaling and winning at Facebook advertising. So when you change the budget too much, or you change the bid too much, and you just choose one of them and not the other, you really mess with everything going on behind the scenes that you don't know about. And that's the thing, is you don't know Facebook's algorithm. There's a lot of smart people out there that spend a lot of money that kind of get it and they understand what makes it tick, but nobody knows the exact algorithm and the exact way that Facebook goes about doing what it does. What we do know is that Facebook looks at how much you're projecting to spend, how much you're willing to pay for each event that you're optimizing for, and then it's pacing that out over that time period. So if you're willing to spend $500 a day and you're bidding $50 per purchase, Facebook now knows that, okay, I can get you 10 customers throughout the day. That's based on the numbers. That's what I need to shoot for. So it's going to pace. It's going to pace how it's going to bid, how often it's going to bid, what auctions it's going to enter. It's doing all this automatically, dynamically in real time. So when you change one of those variables, it really messes with all of that going behind the scenes. So that's kind of a pretext to why when you go about scaling the way most of you probably are going about scaling, you fail 9 times out of 10, because you're making too much of a change and you're rocking the boat way too much. You're shaking up what's going on behind the scenes too much, and you're basically starting from square one again. So that's really what's going on behind the scenes when you triple that budget and then everything goes to shit. That's really what's happening. So the stability behind the method we just talked about, we're actually at every 24, 36, 48 hours increasing the budget by 20 to 30%. It's stable, it's consistent, it happens, and then it lets Facebook get dialed back in. Then it happens again, it gets dialed back in. So it's a very stable process where you're kind of going like this, and your spend and you're increasing your daily budget, but you're doing it consistently, and you're doing it in a fashion that ensures that Facebook's keeping up and they're making the tweaks simultaneously. So your ROI stays relatively the same. The challenge with that model is obviously if you're starting at $5 per day on an ad set, it's going to take you a while to get up to thousands of dollars a day. So that's why that method isn't as popular, and that's why people are always looking for shortcuts, right? So people are always looking for, I want to dial it, I want to double it, I want to triple it. Everyone's a gambler, right? So that's a safe model, what I just said. And 9 times out of 10 for me, that model works. And what I'll usually do is I'll keep my winners, that the ones that are dialed in, crushing it, even though like $10, $20 a day, and I'll run that strategy. And by the way, what I also do with that strategy, because nobody has time to manually do that every 24 to 36 hours. What I found when I was learning this strategy is I was running so many ad accounts, I would go in and I'd be like, did I increase the budget on this today? Or did I increase it yesterday? I would forget and I would make mistakes. So what I ended up doing is using automation rules. So Facebook has rolled out these incredible tools called automation rules that everybody watching this video needs to start using, because it's going to allow you to scale so much more efficiently. It's going to allow you to really take control of all your variables and ensure you don't lose your shirt on bad campaigns, ensure you're scaling winning campaigns. And essentially what I am able to do is go into Facebook, and what you're able to do in your ad manager account is create a rule that says any ad set that's hit 8,000 impressions with a cost per purchase below X, whatever your target is, increase daily budget by Y. And it's going to check that rule every night at midnight. You can set the time frame to be 3 days, 7 days, 1 day. It's going to check all of your ad sets. It's going to see which ones hit those rules you've set, and the ones that have hit it, it's going to increase the budget. It can do it for manual bidding. It can do it for budget. It can do it for lots of other variables. So if you're going to run this strategy, you need to have this system in place, so you ensure you're doing it every single day, every single 2 days, and you're not missing a day. Because when you're starting at $5, $10, $20 a day, you need to be hitting every day. Otherwise, it's going to take you months to really scale up. So we'll typically keep our really, really dialed in campaigns that we've tested. We'll keep them on this path because we know it's stable, we know it's consistent, we know it's not going to make us rich overnight or even next week or next month, but it's going to keep going, and then eventually it's exponential, right? So 20% of 10 is $2. You're increasing the budget $10. When you get to $1,000, then you're increasing it to $1,200. When you get 10,000, it's 12,000. So it really ramps up once you start hitting a certain critical threshold. So that's option one. Option two, which is become more popular because people really don't have patience and they want quick hits. This model is a little more risky, in my opinion. It obviously can get you there faster. Is essentially taking that winning ad set that's shown promise, duplicating it, and doubling, tripling, quadrupling the daily budget on that, and running that simultaneously. That model is tricky, especially depending on the size of the audience. If the audience is really, really small, first of all, and I'll talk about audience size in a minute, but first of all, if your audience is really small, you're going to find it very difficult to scale regardless. If your audience is a few 100,000 people, you're probably never going to successfully scale with Facebook ads. That's why the big boys are advertising with audiences 1.5 million and up, because they can really open it up and scale. So that's kind of option two, is duping and then increasing the budget and starting at a much higher budget. So those are kind of the two options. What I'm going to get into, there's more options, but they involve manual bidding, and I want to talk about that as a whole topic tonight. So what I'll do real quick is I'll look at, I know there's 2 questions or so in here, and feel free to ask questions about anything I just said that's confusing. What I don't want to have happen with this group, and I made this very clear when I post about monthly budget, is I don't want people that are new to Facebook advertising to feel like they're overwhelmed or feel like they can't ask a basic question because there's all these pros in here that are spending 6-7 figures a month. The whole purpose of this group is to help each other and to take what I'm doing, what my buddies are doing, what other badass marketers are doing, and share that. Because what I found is the first few years I was running paid media, I was using small budgets. I was running my own businesses. I couldn't test a lot of theories. I couldn't test a lot of things. And if you can't test, you can't, I don't want to rhyme, but you can't test, you can't be the best. Like, you need to be able to test consistently to learn, to try, to find great strategies. So the purpose of this group is, hey, we got a lot of people here spending combined almost 8 figures a month. We should all be able to test a lot of things together, and we should be able to bring those results together and help everybody. So that's the purpose. No questions too obvious, too basic. So anything I'm talking about, any kind of thing I'm asking you, like, don't feel concerned that you can't ask a basic question. So I'll preface it by that. So Eric said, do you have any hard rules around percent of budget you increase by, typical amount of days you wait between increasing budgets? So I mean, yeah, I kind of answered all of those in my response regarding the percent I increased by, the days I wait between. Facebook's rule of thumb is 8,000 impressions is kind of the magic number to hit for an ad and an ad set before you can really scale it, just to give it the amount of data it needs to really decide whether this is a shit ad or a good ad. So that's kind of a good rule to go by, especially with the automation rules. Percent increase, 20%, 25%. If you want to get ballsy early on, you can go 35, 45%. You're kind of pushing the envelope once you get to 50%. So just keep that within reason. And then time frame, at least 24 full hours without making any other changes. So if you increase the budget and then the next day, 24 hours later, you make a tweak to the ad set, wait another 24 hours. Basically, my rule of thumb is I only touch one variable at an ad set level every day, every 24 hours, just one. Because again, I don't want to rock the boat too much. So that's just my rule of thumb. It works for me. Some people might say I change things all the time and it's fine, but I found that's not the case. Is it important to get new followers to a Facebook page and not bother to drive them to a website? That was a question from Ken. What I would say is I think it's much more important to, you need a website, right? So whatever your product, whatever you're selling or whatever your business is, you need a website. So whether it's a Shopify store, whether it's a Kajabi course, whether it's a ClickFunnels landing page, there needs to be a destination. Otherwise, what's the point? You need to be driving traffic somewhere. What I would say is early on, when you're off, running a new campaign, running a new business, my thought is I don't want to just straight sell them. I find that people are much more resistant today than they ever were to being sold. They're getting sold every day online. There's a new video ad promoting a new fidget spinner or a USB fan that plugs into your computer or Gordon Ramsay's masterclass or Apple's I mean, you're bombarded, right? So what I find is building relationships and building awareness early on with your target demo is much, much more effective, and the ROI in the long run is much greater when it does come time to selling. Warming that audience up, nurturing that audience, building a relationship with that audience by sharing content, by offering lots of value up front is always going to win 100% of the time when it comes time to selling. So that's my thinking on kind of objective early on in regards to like building a Facebook page versus sending people to an audience. I think that I kind of reword that question, which is, should I try to build an audience that I can communicate with over selling them for a cold audience? And my thought is, depending on the product, if you're selling these, where your CPA needs to be at $2, $3, you don't really have time to build an audience. And obviously it's an impulse buy, right? So if you're selling a $10 widget, $20 widget, you can go for a straight sale. You don't need to build an audience, at least not for the direct sale. What I would say is the people that are killing it right now are building fan pages, like industry pages around like certain gadget types, and they're just sharing really, really great content, funny, engaging, awesome content about those gadgets, building huge audiences, and then they're actually pitching products and they're promoting products from those pages, and then they already have an existing warmed up audience, so when they do pitch the $5 product, the $10 product, their CPA is very, very low because they already have an audience they can communicate with. So that's a more longer term strategy again. But if you're selling a course, if you're selling a mastermind, if you're selling a $500 tech product, whatever it is, I do believe that it's more effective to get them into some type of communication channel before going for the straight sale. So the way you need to look at it also is, in terms of cost per objective, your website conversion ads are always going to be up here. So the website conversion ad, which is the ad you run to get a sale or a lead, is always going to be the most expensive objective you pay for. It's going to be the most expensive ad you run on Facebook, the most expensive CPM you run on Facebook. When you start at the top of the funnel, where you have brand awareness and reach as broad objectives, where you're just trying to hit people, that's where you're going to spend the least amount of money. Your CPM is going to be the lowest, your cost per engagement is going to be the lowest. Then you got engagement-based campaigns. So these are kind of a reach and just hitting a lot of people. Then you got these engagement campaigns where it's PPE, video views, website clicks. These are kind of the middle ground before you get to conversions. So typically when you're building your brand, when you're building your audience, you want to play up here on the top of the funnel with brand awareness, with reach, with video views, with page post engagement before you dive too far in. So a great strategy there is trying to get people into a messenger sequence. So in my opinion, Facebook Messenger offers businesses right now the biggest opportunity. It's clearly the place that people are going to make fortunes over the next year or two. And hopefully you're one of those people. I just look at our ManyChat account, which is what we use for all of our Facebook Messenger, and we're seeing 90% open rates consistently for everything we send. 90% of people that get a message from our brand page are opening it. That's amazing, right? Email. Look at your email list right now. If you send out an email broadcast to your list right now, what would the open rate be? 15%, 20%, maybe if you got a good list, 35%. That's super optimistic. Text message. You're probably going to see higher open rates, but you're also paying per text, right? And people are also sorry. I got a text with a question, so now I'm trying to thank you, Eric, for texting me a question. It threw me off. I got a text over here, a message over here. So let me just get zoned back into what I was talking about. I'm going to make sure to deflate your air mattress tomorrow when you come over here. So with Messenger, with text messaging, people are catching on, right? So people are starting to, they're getting bombarded with sales text. Regal Movies always text me shit. Abercrombie, all these brands are texting offers out. J. Crew is texting offers out. Dave & Buster's is texting offers out. You're getting texts from mortgage brokers. You're getting texts from real estate agents. So that's mainstream now. In my opinion, I don't like to operate in mainstream because mainstream means everything's expensive. Everyone's doing it. So it means the effectiveness has gone down and the cost has gone up. And I don't like operating in that area. I like operating over here, the cutting edge. So where's the place that's seeing incredible results at a low cost that only the early adopters are playing in? And for me right now, Messenger is that place. It's quickly the mainstream kind of that average consumer is catching on to things at a exponentially increasing rate. So adoption of new technology has continued to increase year over year, which means that the window that people like us have to capitalize on being early is decreasing. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about these things. So Facebook Messenger, we're getting huge open rates. More importantly, we're getting 35-50% click-through rates, and we're selling a ton of stuff. So we're really focused with a lot of our brands on building up our subscription audiences. Because remember, not only can we do broadcast messages, which means that we can send a message out to an entire group, anybody that's opted in, we can also do automation sequences, just like Infusionsoft, just like Actionetics, Maripost, any of the kind of CRM-based tools out there. We can do full automations. I can set up a 15-message, 2-month automation sequence in Messenger that does everything from sharing videos, to asking questions, to actually direct selling products. I can set up keyword sequences, so when somebody says a specific keyword, I can put them into one sequence versus another sequence. I can basically ask questions, and based on which answer they select, they're tagged, put into a different solution. So it's incredibly personalized. It's very, very effective. We're spending a lot of our capital resource, of both time and money, on Messenger, and it's paying off greatly. So I'll give you one example, then I'll answer your question, Ken. So one of our big businesses is our Patriot products. So it was a spin-off of our very big success with our Trump campaign, where we did millions and millions of dollars over 3 months. We've rolled that into a full Shopify store, patriotproducts.us. So we said, what would be great, because we have a tool with ManyChat that basically can pull comments, anybody that comments on a specific Facebook post on a brand, into a Messenger sequence. So they get subscribed when they comment into a sequence, get an auto reply in Messenger, and get dripped content. It's huge. It's a huge feature. So we said, how can we play into Trump's birthday? How can we grow this list? We have about 800 people on the list. We really want to get to the thousands. So basically we said, let's create a post. It's a picture of Trump. It says, happy birthday, Trump. And basically said, let's create the longest running comment thread for President Trump's birthday. We put it up there. We put $250 behind it and boosting it over a 3-day window. We got 22,000 likes, 7.5 thousand comments last time I checked, and several thousand shares. So on $250 in spend, we got about 7,500 people commenting, which means 7,500 people got a reply from our Messenger account. They had to opt in from there, they had to reply back. So about 75% of people did that. So we had about 6,000 people over a 3-day window on $250 in spend become Messenger subscribers that we now have in a sequence where we're selling them products. So that's incredibly powerful. That's a game-changing feature in my opinion. And it takes kind of direct personal selling that's scalable to another level. I'd imagine, and don't take my word for this, but we talked about it over the weekend at the Shopify event, that Facebook has to be testing ways to integrate pixel data with your Messenger account, which would be game-changing. So the ability to essentially say, anybody in my abandoned cart audience, I'm going to message them this over here. Connecting those two platforms will be absolutely revolutionary and make a lot of people a lot of money. So knowing Messenger, knowing the basics, and starting to build some rapport there is really, really smart. So when Facebook does do something like that, you're ready and you can capitalize on it. So that's my spiel for Messenger. Let me see, I got a little guest here, so let me answer some questions while we're hanging out. Want to answer questions? Yeah, she'll answer some questions. Let's see. Okay, Ken. Trying to get signups to a $59 SMS marketing SaaS play, better build an audience with awesome content, sell later, go for right for the sign up. B, what's good practice capturing cell phone rather than emails via Facebook ads. So I would say, I don't know all the details, so I don't know how, do you have an existing list? Do you have customer data to build a lookalike? Do you have testimonials? Is it a brand new product, etc.? What I would say just off cold, kind of looking at this data real quick, $59 for a course, I'm guessing, or a SaaS product, is a pretty low price point. So what I would do is I would test some straight sale stuff. So I probably split my budget and allocate some of it to a direct sale and measure that, because at the end of the day, like everything I say today as well, test it, right? So there's no right answer in my opinion to digital marketing. I know people that have totally different views on social media marketing or Facebook advertising, Google ads, totally different views, and they both make a lot of money. That's the reality, right? Certain things work for certain people, certain things work for certain markets, certain things work for certain price point products, and so that's why it's the one thing that is a fact is that the people that test make a lot of money. So test theories, test strategies, testing direct response on a $59 SaaS product, it's a continuity play that is recurring revenue where your CPA can be pretty high. I think it's worth a shot there. I think if you got your audience dialed in and you really know your demo well and you have a really compelling offer, if it's a new product, maybe you have some early adopter pricing where you're letting 100 people get in at kind of grandfather pricing, then it turns off, play on scarcity. A lot of psychological elements there that I would leverage for a new product launch like that. I would definitely test it. At the same time, I would be showing off the benefits of that product kind of through content and building up an audience. So I'd probably run a video view campaign that has a really badass video that kind of demos the product maybe, or is a content piece that illustrates the problem that your product solves. I would run a video view objective, try to get a lot of video views at a low cost per view, 1 or 2 cents. And then I'd take that 95% video view and I direct retarget them to an offer. And then I would also take, once they get several thousand views, I would build a lookalike on top of that and then use that as a targeting for the video to keep getting the cost down. So it's a cycle of the data feeds the lookalike makes the ad perform better, the lookalike gets more effective, and it's a cycle. And then I would use the people that watch 95% of it to move along to the next step, and I would sell them. So that's, at the end of the day, like super high level. I'd love to know more of the product and specifics, and I could provide better advice based on that. So the second part of your question was, what's good practice is getting cell phone numbers rather than emails via Facebook ads. So native lead ads on Facebook are killer. You can basically put a form directly in your ad, so when somebody clicks on it, instead of going to a landing page, it opens up a form right inside Facebook. The beauty of that is it auto pulls in a lot of the data. So all the basics, name, phone number, email, unless the privacy settings are set real high, are auto-populated. So you remove a lot of the friction, right? A lot of the problem with when people are doing demos or asking for lead info is there's friction, right? And that's why you look at a funnel, and each step along the way, each page you add, people leave. There's a bounce rate in each page. So you start with 100% of people click through to the website, and then by the time they get to the purchase, the checkout conversion rate is 4%. So for every 100 people that come to your website, only 4 buy, which means that 96 people were interested enough to go there, but didn't buy. And that's because there's friction, right? So the fewer steps, the less friction you can put in the way, the greater conversion rate is going to be. So the native lead ads on Facebook remove a lot of friction. I don't have to go to an extra page. I don't have to manually type in my info. People have remorse, right? So buyer's remorse is a real thing. People impulsively do things. And once they've done them, or as they're doing them, depending on the person, depending on the impulse, depending on what they're actually doing, rethink things and overthink things, and they change their mind. So if you have 2 people, or the same person doing 2 forms, one form they actually have to go through and fill out all the info. They got to type their full name, they got to type their email, they got to type their phone number, they got to type their occupation. The other person, the other scenario, everything's auto-populated. You just got to click submit. You're going to get a lot higher conversion rates over here because they don't have to do as much. They don't have to think as much. It happens quicker. So I would run native lead ads. I would use phone number as one of the fields. You can add other questions in there if you want custom questions. And so I would run a native lead ad and target your demo, give them a compelling offer to give you your phone number, right? So not everyone's just going to give you their phone number for the hell of it. You need to give them a reason to actually want to give it to you. So I don't know if that's a free trial. I don't know if that's an ebook or a white paper. I don't know if that's to do a contest. Maybe they enter in to win a prize. But you need to give them something, obviously, of value to get that phone number. And then you can easily tie that through Zapier into whatever platform you're using to do follow-up. Either for your email, your text marketing, or your email marketing. You can just zap it right in. So it's all automated and scalable. Okay. Steven, great perspective. My firm has been building specific social channels for years now. We're starting to get the advertisers now that we have an audience. Love the messenger. I will give it a try. Yeah, I appreciate that, Steven. Messenger is huge right now. I think that's, in my opinion, the single biggest opportunity, like I said, and it's definitely worth investigating. Like I said, we use a tool called ManyChat. I'll drop it in the comments just so everyone has it. That being said, we're looking at this tool called Chatmatic. I was fortunate enough on Friday to be invited to speak at the Shopify Info Ecom Mastermind, top 25 marketers in the country, or in the world actually, a lot of people international. And a few of the guys I was talking about Messenger were saying, we're using Chatmatic and we're crushing it. So Travis over at Chatmatic has built this platform which does some really cool things. One of the things that I'm most excited about, which is why I'm probably going to make the switch, at least for some properties, is it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So right now you have to make a choice of, I want to generate a lead, but there's so many communication channels. That's the problem, right? Is where does that lead go? Do I want to get their phone number? Do I want to get their email? Do I want to get a messenger opt-in? Do I want to get them on Facebook page? Where do I want them to give me that info? Where do I want them to opt in? That's a challenge, right? Because ideally, you're like, I want to get everything. I want to opt in everywhere so I can hit them on all channels. The reality is that's tough without multiple touch points. So Chatmatic has a feature because, remember, these platforms are tied into Facebook's API. Facebook's API, when you get somebody's opt-in, they have their phone number, all their info, email. So Chatmatic gives you the ability to essentially, when they opt into your Messenger bot, to also pass through their email direct to an email list. So in my opinion, that's game-changing because now I can run ads to get Messenger opt-ins and simultaneously get email opt-ins. So even if my cost per lead goes up a little bit, I'm getting Messenger and email simultaneously. I'll do that all day. I'll spend several dollars a day on that all day because I know I can make that back on those channels. So Chatmatic is an interesting platform. I haven't demoed it yet. I haven't tested it. I'm setting up one. A few of the guys were connecting me, so that's I'll report back on that when I have the chance to actually test it. But yeah, Chatmatic is the other name. But ManyChat, the way I look at it is there's a lot of platforms out there. As a digital internet marketer, you kind of see 2 types of platforms. So you see one type of platform over here, which is the more generalist platform, the one that's built, it's venture funded, it's Silicon Valley money, and it's built to IPO. It's built to sell, which means they need to acquire as many users as possible. So it's a very broad platform where they're going after everybody. Then there's kind of the internet marketing built platforms that are self-funded, they're built out of necessity, and typically those ones are built for specific use cases and specific types of people. So they usually have really, really powerful, interesting features, but they don't have all the features. So, ManyChat has lots and lots of features and bells and whistles. Chatmatic doesn't have all the features, but it has some really cool, powerful tools. So that's typically when I'm looking at software and demoing tools, which I frequently get asked to demo a lot of stuff and test a lot of things. Those are kind of the two camps that I see apps fall under, especially in the Facebook marketing world. So let's see. All right, Ken. Ken's on fire tonight. I think next week what I'm probably going to do is a cash giveaway, just to keep getting more people involved. And I think the way I'm going to get people to enter is they have to ask a question. So you don't ask a question, you don't get entered. So Ken, if you keep it up like next week, you'll be getting that cash. So I think I'm going to roll that out. That was actually at the Shopify Info Ecom Mastermind. Adrian Morrison spoke before me, and he's killing it. He's at a whole other level for most people, and he's done his Profit Power Hour webinar every week, every Tuesday for the last several years. Even on his wedding day, he did it, and he does huge cash giveaways every week, and he does 2-hour, 3-hour marathon webinars. So I got that idea from him. I give him a plug right now. So what was the question? What was the feature for Pop-Up Forum on Facebook? Yeah, so when you're actually creating your Facebook ad, Ken, it's a ad unit on Facebook. So it's a lead objective, that's the type of ad you're actually creating on Facebook. And then when you get the actual ad level, you'll be able to create that form. So you have your campaign ad set, and then you have your individual ad. At the individual ad level, you'll create a form and have a kind of really intuitive form builder. You just need to have a graphic, you need to pick the questions you want, the fields you want, and then you need to have a privacy tag. So pretty basic. You have your privacy URL. You can get cookie cutter one anywhere, drop it in there, submit, and then you can test it, and that's the kind of form that Facebook will use when people click on it. So pretty basic, pretty straightforward to go about creating it. I can actually create a video on setting up a lead ad if people are interested in that. Let's see. Anybody has any other questions, I can do them now. If not, I'm more than happy to talk about manual bidding. So give everyone a few seconds and just take a quick little breather, and then I can hop into manual bidding. Awesome, Ken. So I'll definitely do that then. Cool. So here's an exciting topic. I wished we had 10 people, 12 people on a little while ago, so all the people are going to miss out. So what I'm going to start doing, not only am I going to do cash giveaways at the end, I'm also going to save all the good stuff to the end. So if you kind of chime in for the first few minutes and don't stay through, I'll put out the fluff in the beginning, so you guys can, everyone that stays through can actually get the good stuff. I think I'm going to start structuring that way to make sure people actually stay through and continue to follow out through the video. So manual bidding is a topic that I think it intimidates a lot of people, and a lot of people shy away from it. Even people that I know who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month don't touch manual bidding. That's the one part of the ad set creation that people are like, I'm just going to let Facebook do it. Just stay automatic. I don't want to mess with it. I have no idea what I'm actually bidding for. It scares the crap out of me. I don't know any of the numbers behind it. I'm not a math person. So people just typically stay away and avoid things they don't understand. And that's kind of how manual bidding has progressed in the Facebook ecosystem for most advertisers. That, and the other factor is most people, when they actually make that switch to low power mode. So most people, when they actually make that switch to the manual bid check, it typically will show a suggested bid, and it'll show a range. And so for most people, if you don't have enough data, it'll say $30. That's the suggested bid for most ads that don't have a lot of data in there. And what most people assume is, hey, I need my CPA to be $5 or $10 or $15. And if Facebook's saying my suggested bid should be $30, I'm not going to touch manual bidding because I can't bid that or else I'd lose money. It doesn't make any sense. So what people need to understand is that that's what you're bidding, not what you're going to pay. Those are two distinct numbers. And I think that's really important to understand here, is that when you bid, you're basically telling Facebook what you're willing to pay for a customer, what you're willing to pay for a CPA, not what you're going to end up actually paying. And so the reason that's an important distinction is, one, it overcomes that fear of saying, like, I can't pay $30 CPA because, or bid $30 because I can't afford a $30 CPA. Get that out of your head. That's not the reality. That's not going to happen. Second, and this is the key, Facebook essentially buckets all its users into 3 buckets for advertisers, 3 tiers, right? So there's a low tier, which is kind of the crappy, least likely people to buy. These are the low quality people, the people that most likely, if they show your ad to them, are not going to engage with it and not going to buy. Then there's this big area here that's kind of the middle ground, the average. And this is when you're doing automatic bidding, this is the world you operate in. So these are the people that, hey, there's a chance they're going to buy your product, they're a pretty decent prospect, pretty decent customer, they're not your best. Then there's up here, then there's the, and I have to plug my phone in real quick, so I've been doing so much live streaming that even my power pack isn't going to save me. So I might have to go and grab a charger real quick, or navigate to my bedroom to charge my phone. We can do that in a minute. So then the top tier is your winners. These are the people that you really want. Those are the people that you want to show your ad to. Those are the people that are your ideal customers, that are going to buy the most products, spend the most money, all that stuff, most likely to buy. The problem is, if you're just doing automatic bidding, you're very rarely going to hit these people. So these people in this top tier are not going to be shown your ad, because you're getting outbid, and you're getting people are competing with you for those. The competition is so high for them, and all the average bidders are down here, that you're not going to touch this top tier. This is the cream of the crop. These are the Rolls Royces, the Cadillac. I mean, this is the cream of the crop on Facebook. So when you manual bid and you bid high over the suggested bid, you're hitting these people, right? So the way you need to look at it is a balance of, okay, I can bid less, I can do the average bid or lower than the average bid, and I can save some money on my CPM and my cost and reach people in this area, but fewer people are going to buy, they're going to spend less money than up here. So up here I'm going to pay more money, or I'm willing to pay more money, but a higher percent are going to buy, and they're going to spend more money on my site. And so that's the math that's important to me, is what's the disparity, what's the difference there. So when you outbid the competition, you bid high, you're going to hit these people. You're going to get the top tier customers, and you're going to make a lot more money. Now again, it's not, it's a science, and it's a game of constant testing, because you can't just go up there and say, I'm going to spend $500 my bid and just put the highest bid possible. You're going to get crushed, right? So it's a balance. Somebody that's done this incredibly well. There was an article on WordStream about it yesterday. Tim Bird of the Facebook Ad Buyers Group has his bullying method, which has kind of been modified by certain people over the years. And in my opinion, it's probably the gold standard for really hitting that top group of Facebook ad buyers. And so basically his method is, you're putting a multiple on that suggested bid. So you're putting a multiple on the suggested bid, and then a multiple on the daily budget. So if you're going to take your suggested bid and multiply it by 5x, and then take that and multiply it by 3x, you're basically you're making sure you crush the competition in every auction that you enter and hitting the right people. But more importantly, you're making sure that you're giving your budget, you're giving yourself enough room to play at that high level. So what you don't want to do is set a $100 bid and keep your daily budget at $100 or $200, because that screws everything up. Because then Facebook's basically doing the math and saying, hey, if you're bidding $100 per sale and your daily budget's at $100, I can only really get you one sale today, and so I got to try to pace it. It really screws things up. So you need to ensure you have a good gap between 5+ multiple between your max budget, your max bid, and your daily budget. So you give yourself a chance to enter a lot of auctions and get a lot of daily sales, at least in Facebook's mind, the way they're looking at the two numbers. Because bid and budget are directly related in terms of how Facebook's going to pace out your auctions and your bids and your ad delivery. So that's like a high level manual bidding. There's a few people in this group that are really, really good at manual bidding and that do it at a very, very high level that I love to get kind of in the conversation and have them kind of do a Facebook Live and go really into depth. But I know personally I've taken Tim Bird's method, the bully method. I've used it for my own campaigns. I've made modifications to it. I've tested different things, and it works very well. I'm able to start spends at a much higher levels and work more effectively because of that, and scale more effectively because of that. There was an article on WordStream yesterday, which is kind of a variation of the bully method, but it's a little different hack. And essentially, what I forget the guy's name. Somebody I'll have to share it in here. But essentially, what he found is by setting a lifetime budget of like $5,000 and a modification of the bully method and doing a daily an average bid of like $120, he was able to give himself a huge gap between his bid and his spend. And in his opinion, I haven't tested this extensively. By using lifetime budget instead of capping it by day, Facebook's really able to open it up and do a lot more optimizations, because what happens when you set a daily budget instead of a lifetime budget is Facebook now is confined to a time frame. So it knows that I have to spend X in Y time frame in a 24-hour period and then do it again. So as it's getting towards midnight, whatever your time zone is, and it has X dollars left to spend, it could make it could enter certain auctions for certain type of people that might not be your ideal customer because it needs to spend that budget. Whereas if you're going lifetime and it's getting to midnight, but you have a week left in lifetime, Facebook might not do that auction because it's not your best customer. It might wait until a better auction appears, a better prospect appears, and then enter that auction. So it was an interesting approach, an interesting concept. I haven't tested it. And essentially what he does is this guy doesn't spend the full $5,000. He'll notice pretty quickly that he starts crushing it real early on because Facebook's really getting the groove quick, and then he'll turn the ad off. And so an interesting approach, interesting strategy that I haven't personally tested, at least that specific one, but worth exploring. So manual bidding, it's a whole time. I mean, it needs a lot more than just 20 minutes of a 1-hour Q&A. But I'd like to keep the conversation going. This is kind of a high level. The final point I'll make is that to effectively scale your spend and to make real money on Facebook, you need to master manual bidding and budgeting. Those two variables are a necessity to scale. If you're trying to scale to $5,000, $10,000 a day on an automatic bid, you're going to get crushed. You're going to lose your shirt. You're never going to win. I mean, that's my opinion. If you do, you get real lucky. So understanding manual bidding, understanding how to budget based on that bid is critical. So we can talk more about that in future sessions. I'll keep sharing more content in the group about that. Let me just see. Kenneth had a question before I hop off. Do you start with a PPA website conversion for your first ads, or is that old news? What I said earlier in the video is website conversion ads, anything at the end of a funnel is going to be your most expensive ad. So top of the funnel objectives, whether it's brand awareness, reach, video views, page post engagement, you're going to pay a lot less on a CPM, cost per 1,000 impression basis, than you are for your website conversion ads, because the goal of somebody actually engaging with it, the value is much higher, so what you're willing to pay is higher. So I would very rarely ever recommend running a website conversion ad as your first touch point or your first ad in a sequence. Typically, you want to run brand awareness based ads, video view, page post engagement up here. Then you want to drive to a site with website click ad. Then you want to run website conversions to close the deal. What I would say is that's changed a little bit because now Facebook's rolled out a really cool new feature which lets you kind of combine the best of both worlds. The problem used to be when you had a fresh pixel, a fresh account, you didn't have a lot of traction, or it's a new campaign, you couldn't run a website conversion ad out of the gate because you didn't have the 25 plus conversions on a weekly basis for Facebook to really get the most value out of that objective. So what you have to do is run website. Sorry about that, guy. I didn't have Disturb on. I don't know how it happened. So you used to have to run website click ads and then once you got enough traction on your pixel, enough kind of seasoning on your pixel, then you could switch website conversion ads. The problem is they need to start a new campaign. It was a pain. So Facebook kind of figured that out and understood the frustrations, and so now they have a feature that you can run a campaign and it'll intelligently switch. So it'll start with a website link click ad, and then once it hits those thresholds, it'll then switch the objective. And so that's a really cool feature. I think it's going to help a lot of people, especially early on. So that's changed the game a little bit in terms of strategies early on. But I would still highly recommend in the early days to run video view, PPE, brand awareness ads, especially when you're getting started. Start building some rapport, start building some data, collecting data, building some audiences early on, top of the funnel, and do that most effectively financially. And then once you really are dialed in, you know your targeting, you have some traction on your pixel, then you can go for the objective-based campaigns and spend the money because you're a little more dialed in and have a little more data to work with. So I hope that answers your question, Kenneth. Thanks, Steven. You have a great night, man. So yeah, I mean, it's almost 9 on the dot. I like to keep this at least an hour or under, because I know over an hour we start to lose people, at least until I start doing some giveaways and get people engaged. So if you got any more questions, feel free to let me know. I'll stay on for a minute or so and wait to see there's more questions. If not, I'll hop off. But you can always post a comment below and ask me a question, and I'll get back to you with a video or text response tonight or tomorrow. So give you guys 30 seconds or so to see if there's any questions that come through, and I'll answer. If not, we'll chime off. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like there's no more questions coming in, which is fine. It means I did my job, I guess, and answered everything. So that's all I got for tonight, guys. I hope everyone has an awesome night, has a great start of the week. And Ken, I am still doing them occasionally. If you want to DM me, we can chat about it and figure something out, and kind of talk offline. So I always enjoyed doing that and working with other great entrepreneurs. So that's all I got tonight, guys. Have an awesome Monday. Have a great week. And like I said before, you can always shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, shoot a comment, and I'll answer your questions. Thanks, everyone.